I must admit that ever since the pandemic, movies about the aftermath of the apocalypse definitely have a little extra kick. As such, the premise behind The Dog Stars, where a superflu has wiped out most of civilization, hits close to home, as what once seemed like science fiction doesn't seem beyond the realm of possibility. Ridley Scott's latest, which is based on the book by Peter Heller, takes a grounded approach to the genre. There are no zombies, there's no Mad Max or Furiosa, there's simply a world where 99% of the population is gone, and the pockets of survivors mostly keep to themselves, although there's a growing threat, with signs spouting up that a feral band of scavengers is on the rampage. Enter Hig, played by Jacob Elordi, a civilian pilot and mechanic who's holed up in a compound with his dog Jasper and his survivalist buddy Bangley, played by Josh Brolin. When he receives a call originating from other survivors, he takes his plane and his dog and tries to find some trace of civilization, even if roaming scavengers and other dangers make the New World an exceedingly grim and dangerous place. Scott's movie is primarily a mood piece, with it documenting Hig's odyssey as he wanders, trying to hold on to some semblance of empathy for whoever might be left. He's a good egg, with him taking his German Shepherd Jasper with him to visit a surviving group of Mennonites, who he helps feed. But his buddy Bangley is the opposite, with him quick to kill anyone who makes the mistake of wandering into his compound, with Hig making the point that he seems to prefer this new violent world to the old one. Well and even, with it feeling like chunks of the movie were axed out, which I'll get to a bit later, The Dog Stars is still pretty good as far as middle-tier Ridley Scott movies go. While definitely not one of his classics, he's still a pro at creating atmosphere, with DP Eric Messerschmitt's giving the film that classic slick sheen we associate with Scott, even if it's actually their first film together. Scott is still a pro at staging action sequences, with the moody first half of the film giving way to a more action-heavy second half. There are some really cool set pieces, with the standout featuring a heavily kitted out Brolin taking on an army of scavengers, with Scott even doing some first-person shooting sequences shot in night vision. It's all very cool. As Hig, Jacob Elordi does a pretty good job, with him subtle as the sad-eyed but kindly former family man who has little else keeping him grounded beyond the love of his dog. With his imposing build, you do believe him as a guy who can handle himself in the apocalypse, and he has good chemistry with Brolin, who walks away with the movie as the cynical badass Bangley. Brolin really is cast to perfection. Of course, Elordi does eventually encounter some survivors, with a good chunk of the movie relating to his growing relationship with the father and daughter he encounters, Guy Pearce's Pops and Margaret Qualley's Seema. The romantic aspect between Seema and Hig is allowed to run its course at a slower, more deliberate pace, making it feel harder earned than usual. Where The Dog Stars does suffer, though, and how it really does feel like this is another Ridley Scott movie where there's going to be a better, longer director's cut. He is, of course, the all-time king of the director's cut. This is especially true in the second half, where scenes, particularly those between Hig and Seema, seem out of order. There's also an extended sequence involving Allison Janney and her group of survivalists that seem to have come out of another, more genre-based and action-driven film. It almost feels like the result of a reshoot thrown in to give the film a bit more action. Well ragged, The Dog Stars is still a solid action drama from Ridley Scott, with it consistently entertaining and packed with memorable moments, even if it is really scattershot. It's not perfect, it's certainly not his best work, but it's enjoyable and well worth checking out, so I give it a decent 7 out of 10.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. We're an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.